Okay, so now that I've set out all of my references, my reference planes, my grid lines, and of course my levels, I'm going to start to do some of the walls. And so I'm going to use the wall tool, of course, on the architecture tab. And from the get-go, from the very beginning, I'm going to make a wall type for these walls. So you'll see that you do have a double brick wall type that's probably going to be selected when you first start drawing, double brick 270. And this wall effectively is double brick. But we don't need to show all of that. I'm going to make a much simpler wall. If I go to Edit Type, and I'm going to go to one of the generic wall types. Any will do. And so I've started with generic 200 mil. And I'm going to go to Duplicate, and we're going to call this Existing 470 mil wall. Okay, so if you missed it, all I did was click on the wall tool and then go to Edit Type to get this dialog box. Yeah, I started with one of the generic walls and then hit Duplicate to give the new name. Existing 470. Yep, yep. So you find this is a pretty good way of working if you have a lot of existing elements. You can then set the coarse scale fill color down here. You'll see you don't need to go into any of the different dialog boxes. You'll see below where you set the name, there's a graphics section where you have the coarse scale option that you might not have done a lot with, but we're going to spend a bit of time on that. So if you go to coarse scale fill color, the color swatch there, and just change that to black, that will read as an existing wall with a black fill. I'm not going to change the material, but I'm going to change the thickness. So if I click on Edit there next to Structure, like I said, I'm going to leave the material set to finish, but I'm going to change the thickness to, of course, 470. And then click OK. And then OK again. And now, on the options bar, I'm just going to set the height of all of these walls to the roof level. It does actually go up a little bit higher, but we'll extend it later to the parapet. Yep. So the roof, and then the location line is probably the most important thing. Finish face interior. So for once we get to use finish face interior for an interiors project, it's always good if you can set your measurements out from the inside. That's what finish face interior will let you do. So then I can simply click onto the inside corner of each of those grid lines. So I've started there on the intersection of A and 1. And now, just when you're drawing your walls around the building, it's really important that you go clockwise. So here I'm going to the right. And then onto the intersection of my next pair of grid lines. And I can follow it around. Notice how it's nice and got a solid, nice black fill. So it's going into each of these intersections and back to the beginning. So going to a 3D view, we've got the outside shell. And now I'm not going to do all of these piers, I'll just get you started so you know the basic approach, and then you can spend some time on them. Okay, so we've got a lot of piers, you can see there, and they're all the same size. So I'm going to, again, use the wall tool, Edit Type again, Duplicate, and call this one Existing 230 mil wall. Again, edit the structure to make the thickness 230. And then I'm going to use a little trick here. I'm going to draw this wall out in empty space. And I'm going to come up and type in the measurement that I can see over here on the left, which is 1150. Yeah, click and then move the cursor in that right direction, then type in that measurement. And it should be exactly that length. So if you press escape, you can always select the wall again afterwards and change the length if you need to. 1150. Okay, so the reason I've drawn it in empty space is so that I can then come back and select it and click on the move button and snap to the midpoint on the back of that wall actually, and then snap to the intersection of my grid line and the wall that I've drawn previously. So it's centered on the grid line. Ah, it should be the other. You pick it up on the back. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to use, you could use copy or array here, but I'm going to use copy just to get you used to using it. So I'm going to click the copy tool. Multiple is ticked, so I can simply click onto one of my grid lines and then snap onto each one after that. Now you can copy it to the end, to the corner, and then draw another wall. From the corner over to the right, and this one you could then trim to join it with the previous one. Okay, so that's the basic method. It's really just a wall sitting over the top of the main wall, so a lot of little walls. That will read as piers. When we look at that from the outside, you can see it reads really clearly as a set of piers, and the windows will fit inside. If you don't want the join there, you can see there we've got a line between the walls. The join tool will take care of that. Later you'll see we'll spend a bit of time looking at using the join tool. I'll just do one of them for now. And that will make them all blend into one object. You don't need to worry too much about that though at the beginning. So I'll just repeat this for one of the walls down below. So don't worry too much about the ones on the corners. You can do them at the end anyway. So I'll do one of the walls here. This time I'm going to the left because again it's good to draw the walls in a clockwise direction, and I know it's not always obvious, but if you think about where I've started there, I'd have to go to the left to draw clockwise around a full circle. So again, this one, what was it, 1380. Now I can pick it up using the move tool, snap it from the midpoint at the back to the intersection of the grid and the wall again, and then copy just like before. Okay, so I'll give you some time to do that, and when you do, you should have a good rough model that gives you a good idea of the form but also a bit of the structure.